If you've ever heard yourself saying, there's just not enough time in the day, I don't know how to get everything done that I need to get done in a normal day because there's just too many things pulling on me from too many different directions. If this is you, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to give you a simple 3-step system that will take you from chaos to clarity in your day so that you can actually get more done in a shorter amount of time, spend more time with the people that are important to you, and have less stress and anxiety about getting everything done because you'll know exactly what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, why you're doing it that way. So let's get into actually taking all of those things and putting them into a system you can use from day to day so that you're in control instead of everybody else being in control. Okay. My name is Aaron Jennings, and for the past 6 years, I've been creating systems for entrepreneurs so that they can manage their life and their business. And time management is always the biggest egg to crack. It's the hardest thing for people to deal with. There's always fires, everybody says. There's always people pulling on me from every direction. There's never enough time. Yet some people get a ton done in a day and some people get a little bit. It's usually because we're simply not managing the time. And I had to come to this realization myself. I had to actually go, why is everybody getting more done in a day than I'm getting done? How are they doing it? And then I had to own the fact that I had no idea what I was doing with my time because I was answering emails, I was doing things, but it wasn't like 24 hours worth of stuff. And so I really decided to take control of this and own it and own the responsibility and fix it when I decided to get into wholesaling real estate 3 months before we were moving to China, where I was going to be a stay-at-home dad for the next year because my wife had taken a job teaching English. We were like, hey, why not? Let's go experience China and live there for a year, live in another country, learn about the culture, and spend time and get paid to be there. And so like we had already accepted the contract to go do that. And then I learned about wholesaling real estate and I'm like, this is amazing. It changes my family tree forever. I want to do this. I thought back of the missions work we did and how I could have flipped a house from the guest house in Nairobi and then dug a well for people. And so I was all in on this wholesaling, but I knew we were moving to China and I was going to be stay-at-home dad. And it was very important to me that my daughters didn't see daddy working all the time. Like, how do I be present with my girls? And then my wife gets off work. How do I actually be present with her? How do we explore China instead of just being locked in the whole year trying to work and build a new business? And at the same time, I wanted to build that business, right? I wanted to start wholesaling and I wanted to do something. And I wanted to get my workouts in and be in shape. And how do you do this with kids living in another country with a new business? There's so much going on. And there was a lot of things to overcome and figure out. And so I had to really own the fact that I wasn't tracking my time. I didn't know where I was spending my time. And I had to figure out how to do that in order to start taking control of my time. That was like the first major shift where my life took big jumps forward. Now, in my first year of real estate, working from China, flipping and wholesaling houses in the United States, I did 12 deals my first year and I only worked 3 hours a day. I still got my workouts in. I explored town with my wife and my daughters every day, and I made decent money for year one. And so all of that came together with a family, with a new job from another country as a stay-at-home dad. And so a lot of these things are excuses that most of us have, but real world stuff that's going on. And so I want to give you an actual practical way that you can make all that work for you. Okay. And that's what we're going to do. So let's dive into my computer. I'm going to share my screen and then we'll get started and I'll walk you through step by step how to do this in your life too. So the first thing we're going to do is you're always going to start with a calendar, and your calendar may look like this. If you buy a calendar from the store and you like a physical calendar, a book on your desk, that's fine too. I'm going to use a digital calendar so that I can show you guys what that looks like as we start to plug things into it. But if you're just getting started and you've never done this before, you may be looking at a blank screen. You may be looking at a brand new planner, the time management tool you got from Amazon or something. That's great. But a lot of people get right here and they get stuck. So what do you do to actually get to the point where you have, say, something that looks like this, where you know exactly what's going on and when, and it doesn't seem overwhelming when it looks like this, but it actually gives you clarity. Okay, so we'll get back to that in a minute. But I'm going to show you guys how to go from a blank screen and not knowing what to do with it to having a system like that that you know exactly what you're doing every day and how you make that work. So the first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to jump straight into creating 3 lists. So I call these 3 lists have tos, flexibles, and wants. And your have tos is the first list that you're going to make. It's the most important because it's things you have to do at set amounts of time, or set times, sorry. And so what I want you to do right now is, if you're a note taker and you like doing it in a notebook, that's fine. Get 3 empty pages of your notebook. If you are a digital person like myself and everything has to be done online, it can be 3 notes on your phone. It can be 3 Google documents that are blank. Doesn't matter. But at the top of one of your lists, write have tos. At the top of the next piece of paper or the next note, write flexibles. And at the top of the third, wants. So you got 3 pieces of paper or 3 notes, and you're going to write have tos, flexibles, wants. Okay. Now the have tos, these are the things that you have to do at a specific time. For example, you have to be to work at 8 o'clock or you lose your job, right? So you're going to write down W-2 job, 8 o'clock. Now, when do you have to be at work, right? You have to be there at 8, but how long do you have to be there? Till 5? So you write down from 8 to 5, W-2 job, okay? But then I want you to get a little bit more micro or macro, whichever way you look at it. Look at it from 8 to 5, but you don't have to be there from 8 to 5. You have to be there from 8 to 10, and then you get a 15-minute break or a 30-minute break. If you don't, that's fine, skip it. At noon, you get a 30-minute or a 1-hour lunch break. So if, let's say, you don't get a morning break and you don't get an afternoon break, but you do get a lunch break for an hour. So write down W-2 job and then put from 8 to noon and from 1 to 5. And that's what you're going to do. Then let's say you have kids and they have to be up and at the corner so that they can get on the school bus at 7 a.m. You're going to write down, get the kids up at 6 to 7, right? Get the kids up 6 to 7. 7 a.m., they have to be at the corner to get the school bus. If not, you're driving them, right? So what are the things that have to be done at specific times? Now, your second list, I call this flexibles. These are the things that you have to do, but when you do them, doesn't really matter. So your flexibles would be things like the dishes, laundry, making meals. When you have to eat, you have to do the dishes, you have to do the laundry. But it doesn't really matter if you do it at 8 a.m., midnight, middle of the day, 2 in the morning. Lots of people do different things at lots of different times, depending on your work schedule. So write down laundry, food prep, whatever those extra things are, right? You're going to make a list of as much as you can think about on both of these. Write down all the have-tos you can think about. Everything you have to do at a specific time. Write the start time, the end time. Flexibles, everything you have to do that doesn't have a time. So you're just making a list without the times on this one. Your third list would be your wants. On this list, it's literally all the extra things that don't fit into have tos and flexibles, right? Everything else that you want to do. I want to spend more time with friends. Write it down. I want to read a book or write a book. I want to learn how to play the guitar. I want to get into Ninja Warrior training. Doesn't really matter. Make a list of everything else, okay? It either fits in the have tos, where you have to do it, and you have to do it at specific times. The flexibles, you have to do it, but you can do it whenever you want. And then your wants is all the extra things that you want to do. Okay, that's the very first step to this simple process. So do this before you do anything else. Pause the video, come back to it, watch this all the way through, then come back to this step and do it. I don't really care how you do it, but this is important. Second, understand that when you do this, it's a starting point. You are not going to know everything from this minute right here, right? You're going to write down everything you can think of, but then when we get done with this video, I'll show you how you've got it into an actual calendar, but you're going to get done with this video. You're going to have it plugged into your calendar. You're going to have a working system. And then the real world's going to sink in. You're going to be like, oh, I didn't think about that. I have to do this thing. And by the end of this video though, you'll know how to take that and plug it in. Okay. So the first thing you're doing is taking your 3 lists. Now, once you have your 3 lists, I'm going to jump ahead and assume you have your lists. You've wrote everything down. Now we're going to come back to this blank calendar that we talked about here, right? On this blank calendar, we're going to take those lists and we're going to start plugging them in here. This is the second practical step to taking control of that time. Okay. So let's say that I'm going to give you examples. Naturally, I don't have your 3 lists, but I'm going to tell you how we're going to work them. You're going to take your have tos first and you're going to block them onto the calendar. If it's a physical calendar, that's okay, but we're blocking them out right now. So let's say I have to be to work at 8 o'clock till noon so that I keep my W-2 job. Okay. So I'm going to come in here under Monday. I'm going to go at 8 o'clock and I'm going to click on 8 and it puts this block on here, right? Now I can grab the bottom of this and I can drag it right till noon. Okay. Now I can give this a title. We'll call it W-2 job. Now right here where it says Monday, July 29th, 8 to noon, says does not repeat. If I click on that, I can see this does not repeat. And here I can say, what days does this repeat on, right? So I can say every weekday, Monday to Friday, I have to be to work. Okay, that's going to make it repeat. I personally, let's say your W-2 job is where your money comes from, so I like to color code things. So I'm going to come under this color right here, and I'm going to click green because W-2 job is how I make my money. Okay, you can do a reminder before it or not. I like to just silence those off and out of the way. And then here, we're just going to click save, and it's going to put it across your calendar, just like that. Okay. Now everybody's like, oh, I have to be to work 8 to 5. Well, no, you don't. And I'm going to show you how to use that time by showing you this way, right? You have to be there from 8 to noon. Then you have to be there from 1 to 5. Naturally, your times and everything are going to change by everything that you have going on. But we'll do the same thing. W-2 job. Make it green. I'm going to get rid of the reminder. I'm going to make it repeat Monday through Friday and save it. This is called blocking. We're actually blocking these times out on a physical calendar or a digital calendar. I'm a digital guy, so everything's done on these. But 8 to noon, 1 to 5. Okay. Now let's say you have to be in the car driving at 7:30 to make sure that you're at work by 8. Okay. So what you're going to do is you come here and you click on 7:30. I'm going to shrink this down, right? Like that. And I'm going to say commute. I'm going to call it green because it's a money-making activity. Because if I don't get to work, I don't make money. I'm going to make it repeat Monday through Friday and save. Now I've got my commute. Okay. Now I'm going to keep this simple. I'm not going to plug in somebody with kids and all sorts of sports and everything else. But sports, for example, my kids are in soccer. So they have soccer practice once a week at, say, 6 p.m. on Tuesdays, right? I can come down here at 6 p.m., block out 6 p.m., and say soccer. And then we can do the does repeat thing. And we could say weekly on Tuesday. Okay. Now, I personally, I have daughters and a wife, so I use purple as my family color. It represents that I'm spending time with family in this. And so here I would click save, and it's going to repeat this Tuesday. And see, it doesn't show up the rest of the week. I can still see the time that I have around it, but that is blocked out. And if I go over to the next week, it's here as well. Okay. So it's cascading it forward. We're blocking all these things out. You're going to go through your have tos first, and you're going to block out all of your have tos. And then as you can quickly see right here, we have white space before it, everything before 7:30, right? We've got white space from 12 to 1. We have white space from 5 to 6 or 5 on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursday, Fridays. But here we've got 5 to 6 and then 7 on, right? Naturally, you got to figure in your drive times, things like that. But this is already giving us an idea of what we have when and when we have the extra things, right? Or when we have the extra time to plug things in. Now your flexibles are the next thing. You're going to take that second list of flexibles and you're going to actually plug those in here in the time in between. So let's say the laundry. Every morning you're going to get up and you're going to start the laundry before you go to work. So you're like, hey, I got time. While I'm getting around in the morning from 6 to 6:30 to 7:30 before I jump in the car and take off, I'm going to start the laundry. I'm just going to do a load of laundry every morning. Okay. Just to keep it simple. You guys get the idea. We'll go Monday to Friday. Let's call working around stuff at the house is blue. Save it. Now we know Monday through Friday is laundry day from 7 to 7:30, right? At lunchtime, if you come home, you can switch the laundry over, right? So let's say you switch the laundry and eat lunch. Let's just block them together. We'll call it lunch. Switch laundry. Make that a blue, make it repeat Monday through Friday. You get the idea. Save, it's blocking things out. Now you can see we don't have any extra time from 7 a.m. to 5. We know that that time is taken and what it is taken for. If you have a 15-minute break in the middle of the morning and the afternoon, then I would break those up and I would put this from 8 to 10 and then from 10:15 to noon. And you'd see a little 15-minute white space there in the middle. Okay? So let me show you what that looks like down here. Let's say this one wasn't from 1 to 5. It's from 1 to, let's say 3. Okay, and save. This and following events, it will make changes to everything moving forward. See, now it goes from 1 to 3. And if we get a break from 3:15, I can push this up and bring that down to the end of the day and say W2 job. Make it repeat Monday through Friday, green, no notifications, and save. See, now I see I've got this little 15-minute window here. The reason this is important is because when you have things on your have-tos, which are things like, I want to read a book, I want to learn to play the guitar. Even if you have a W2 job, right in here, you can say, read. And every day, you're going to read the book you want to read. And you make it to where this break every day, Monday through Friday, is blocked out for your personal reading time. And save it. See, now we're starting to see things like, oh, I do have to work, but then I've got my lunch break, and this is what I'm doing during that time. I'm eating lunch, switching over the laundry. You can even say like, hey, I'm going to read for 10 minutes, eat for 30 minutes, and you can break up that hour into whatever you want. You can make it, as you can see, different from day to day like we did soccer. Okay. This gives you a quick visual of taking a list. I have to do these things. These are the things I have to do that are flexible, and these are the wants. You plug in all of your have-tos. It starts to block things out like this. Then you see the white spaces like this, where we plug in our flexibles, lunch, laundry, read a book. And then your wants go in around everything else. You see when you have the extra time. Okay, to give you an example, this is how it starts to look when you get it all done. This was mine a few years ago, but at the same time, this is the way mine looks and the way I still operate. I've been doing it this way for over 6 years. And ever since I did it, it's amazing how much I was able to get done. So this, for me, even the colors represent what's going on, right? I work for myself. I run the business. So everything in gold tells me it's a meeting with somebody. Everything in purple means it's with me, my family, my girls. Anything in orange is discipleship, ministry, God time. Anything in blue is my personal time where I'm doing something for myself. Workout, bike, reading, something like that to just improve my own mental health. Okay. On the right over here, I actually color keyed mine to where I know what these are because I share this with people. So if you guys want the downloads, there'll probably be a link in the description. But above it, there's an order of importance for me. So for me, God is first, family, make discipleship, disciples, then business, and then good things, hobbies, give backs, things like that, things for free. And so I prioritize my life that way and I plug it into the calendar. Now, here's the deal. When you guys get these things plugged in, it becomes you're not used to looking at the calendar and you're not used to respecting those times. The reason you feel like you're running out of time every day is because you don't respect your time. If you respected your time, it would be into some form of a management system, in a calendar, into something, okay? 82% of people do not have an effective system for managing their time. You are no longer one of them because I have just given you one. I showed you how to take everything, put it into 3 lists, plug it into the calendar. Now you have to choose to respect that like it's life or death, which means if I block things in, like this video or this picture I showed you here, if I have this whole day blocked out for me and my girls as my Sabbath with my family and somebody wants to do something, it's a simple, nope, I can't. I'm busy Saturday. That's it. You don't have to explain it to them. It's not less important because I've got the gym figured out for me. If it is gym time for me, or if it is reading time for me and somebody wants to do something, it's your schedule. You can choose to go, yeah, I'll go do that thing today, and then tomorrow I'll get back to my reading. You can be as flexible as you want, but you have to understand something. Everybody will always pull at you to do what they want when they want to do it. And you have to be able to look at your calendar and go, nope, I can't. And you have to understand that if it's time blocked for you, it's okay. It's for you. And it's okay to tell people no because you have time for you blocked out. Okay. But there is going to be a little bit in the beginning of getting used to it, right? How do I look at my calendar regularly? I'm not used to all that. And so I suggest creating um, labeled alarms. Okay. So these are just screenshots of my phone, right? But set labeled alarms on your phone to where an alarm goes off in the middle of the day. You look at it and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to read right now, because you're not used to doing that in this 15-minute window. You'll probably skip right over it, right? If you're not used to reading your book during this 15-minute break, I would set an alarm on your phone that says read for 3 p.m. every day. That way, when that alarm goes off, you look at your phone like, why is there an alarm going off at 3 p.m.? And it says read. You'd be like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm blocking my time now. And you read. Okay. So we leverage these labeled alarms in the beginning to pull you back to your calendar, to pull you back to your schedule so you can get used to actually following your calendar. In the beginning, you'll probably have a lot of alarms because you want to bring yourself back to certain things. Now, I pretty much only have like 2 alarms. There's one in the middle of the day that just reminds me to be focused, gets my energy back up, go do something. And then there's one at the end of the day, 5 p.m., where it's like quit and go do something with your girls. And that's what I do now. But I've been doing it for 6 years. It's second nature to me. I don't wake up and check my email. I wake up and check my calendar. Before I go to bed, I check my calendar before to see what's coming up the next day, to where I'm always prepared for it. This gives you a clarity because it allows you to know what you're doing by simply looking at your calendar and going, oh, I've got this tomorrow morning at this time. Oh, I've got a meeting with somebody here at this time that is not any other day of the week. If I review this and I get used to looking at this regularly, I'm going to see what's coming up and I'll always be prepared for what's to come. That removes anxiety and stress of being like, oh, I forgot about this. Check your calendar. When you get a to-do list, it no longer gets wrote down as a to-do list. You simply block it directly in the calendar, and then you protect that time to work on that thing. So if you have a task that comes up and you need to work on it, you go straight to your calendar and you block it out. You click in the space and you write down, do the task, whatever it is. Make it red so that it stands out. Like, this is something I got to get done. Save. Block your tasks in on your calendar and look at your calendar every single day. If you're wondering how some people get a ton done in 24 hours and the rest of the people are running around going, I don't have enough time, I keep running out of time, this is why. So do the work. Make your lists, plug them into your calendar, and then set your labeled alarms so that it reminds you to go back and look at your calendar. This is how you actually make this work for you in your life with everything you have going on, and you take control. And if you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe, because I'm all about leveraging systems, technology, automation, so that we can get the time back for things that are really important. Thank you for your time. We'll see you guys on the next one.